Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. It is Wednesday night. It's a little bit later. I'm going solo tonight. Just didn't work out this week with guests and stuff, but that's okay. So it'll be shorter tonight, and we'll hit our Ryan's rant here real shortly. Then we're going to hit NCAA just real briefly. It's been several days now since Michigan won the title. We'll talk that real quick. And that kind of goes in with the Ryan's rant is kind of the same thing there. And then we'll spend the last segment, last part of our episode talking about the Masters. I'll make my pick and just kind of what the Masters means and one of the best events of the year in my opinion. Let's go ahead and let's start with Ryan's rant, our new episode. I've talked about this before, but I wrote some notes out here, so I'm going to be looking off the side here just a little bit here. But it is transfer portal season in basketball right now, and it is crazy. I heard a stat today. I read it, so this is not 100% correct. I listened to it. I heard it. I can't remember exact numbers, but essentially in round numbers, there's 5,000 Division I men's basketball players, and there are 1,500 roughly in the portals. That's like 30%. So 30% of every roster and every person is in the transfer portal. And we all know the big name ones that are getting a better opportunity, and you can't blame them. But how many of them are not going to get as good an opportunity? And if they would have just stayed and just continue to work hard, go to college, get the degree, become a 4-year player at a school, maybe not play as much as you want, maybe not have the career exactly what you want, but in that situation, you're able to, let's just use Iowa State as an example. You're able to graduate from Iowa State University and, say you want to go into the business world and you're a business major or whatever, and then you go work downtown Des Moines or in West Des Moines there at one of the big insurance companies. And they know that you completed 4 years with Iowa State basketball. You've got a head up on a lot of people. And because they know you are committed to a task, they know you're loyal, they know you'll stick to it, and you have some name recognition. Don't kid yourself. That matters. I'm an Iowa State basketball player, and when you put TJ Otzelberger, Kyle Green, he'll be on a resume. You put Jamie Pollard, you put other influential people at Iowa State on resumes, or you do this in Eastern Iowa, Ben McCollum, Josh Sash, Beth Getz. That matters. Who you know and what they can do for you matters. But when you jump 3-4 schools in 3 or 4 years, you lose that ability. Now, doesn't mean you're a bad kid. Doesn't mean you're not doing what you think is best for you. But there's things that you're losing by making those moves. There's connections to the school, to the fan base, to people that will very much benefit you down the road. Boosters. You don't think the boosters will help players that stick it out and do the right things? And, the Iowa State boosters, the Iowa Hawkeye boosters, the Texas, it doesn't matter. This is irrelevant to what school. This is all the schools. They will help you. I promise. I'm going to use Audie Crooks as an example. She had a chance to get her name up in the rafters, be an all-time Iowa State legend. And if she wanted to sell insurance and she wanted to go work for Farm Bureau or State Farm in Iowa, doesn't even matter what company, you can list any company, financial advisor, Edward Jones, Raymond James, whatever she wanted to do. She had Des Moines in the palm of her hands. She already had Fairway. Fairway was in the palm of her hands. Now, they were paying her, and she was doing the work. I mean, I'm not saying, but she had it. And she didn't want it anymore. we can talk different reasons for that. But I really think that matters. Looking down the road, looking in the future, 99% of these people that are in college sports need a job, a career after basketball. Now, the money they're making right now is incredible, and it is helping them immensely get started. They are having hundreds, if not millions of dollars in the bank when they're leaving college if they're doing it right. And they are set up. They don't have to worry about a lot of things that most people have to worry about. Now, they work their tail off. There's things that Audie's had to deal with that nobody should ever have to deal with. And all the players deal with things no one should have to deal with. But Audie in particular has to deal with things that no one should have to. She's there playing basketball. She's doing exactly what she's supposed to do. And good luck to her and wherever she ends up. And anybody else who ends up. But I wish more people would think about the long-term effects. And then we as fans, we are the ones that always just get the shaft. We are the ones in the stands. We are the ones buying the merchandise. We're the ones going to the games. We're the ones, yes, are we all the big donors? No, but I listened to Brent Bloom this week on a couple different podcasts, the former NIL director at Iowa State. And he was huge on the 5, 10, 15, or, when somebody made a field goal or they won a game, everybody give, let's say the score was 38-10. Everybody give $38 or whatever it might have been. It makes you feel good to be appreciated and think you have a little bit to do with it. You aren't the biggest reason. When it comes down to it, when these players are getting paid, especially in basketball and then the big names in football, does that $38 affect whether they're going to come to Iowa State or not? No. But when you're in the stands, Hilton Coliseum is one of the best places to be. Jack Trice Stadium is so much better today than it was 20 years ago. When you buy the parking, when you buy the tickets, when you go to Fairway and spend $100 on drinks and food for your tailgate, that helps. That is what makes it. Out-of-towners come in and tailgate at Iowa State and be like, what the heck is this? Never been around something like this. It's different. Iowa, just the setup's different, but they do the same thing. I've tailgated in Iowa City. It's just it's more spread out, and that's just the reality of their stadium situation with the hospital right there and just in town instead of out by itself like Iowa State. But those fans do the same thing Iowa State does. It's just you just got to find your niche and find where it's at instead of being able just to walk from one to the other all within right there. And that's okay. And that's most places. Iowa State is very unique in that situation. And as fans, we are going to cheer. I am going to cheer for Iowa State. Doesn't matter if it's Taman Lipsey or in 5 years if it's John Smith, Cooper Allen. Doesn't matter the name. I'm going to cheer for Iowa State and whoever is playing for Iowa State at that time. And unfortunately, every year it gets farther and farther away from the player, knowing the players. It's amazing this week since the basketball tournament, since Iowa State lost in the basketball tournament, the reporters and everything have started to go to football practice. They don't know anybody. And that's no one's fault. Coach Campbell left. So we had to bring in a new staff, and then the new staff brought in an entirely new team. Some by their choice and some not by their choice. And unfortunately, the loyalty thing does go both ways. It has been reported that several seniors or third, fourth, fifth year players at Iowa State wanted to come back, but this new staff made a decision to get younger and to be in it for the long haul instead of keeping some of these players for 1 year that are Campbell guys. And that stinks because maybe they did want to finish up as a Cyclone, but didn't have the opportunity, or just, you can't blame a guy. Let's just, for an example, I think I used this example, getting paid $300,000 last year. And this year was only going to make $100,000. But they can go to Minnesota and play for $300,000 again. That's a no-brainer. Because again, as we talked about, it's getting these kids off to a great start in life. That $200,000 really does matter. So I completely understand that. So it does go both ways and everything, but overall, it's just really, really frustrating as a fan that you see your loyalty, for the most part, not reciprocated. Now we're going to get into Milan Momcilovic's situation. I don't know what Iowa State's going to do. And I don't know what the situation is, but it's just not good. And you can't blame Milan and you can't blame Iowa State in this situation. He's going to demand, and he has earned a lot of money from Iowa State, and he's going to get paid a lot of money from somebody next year, NBA, Iowa State, or another college. Iowa State is willing to pay him whatever they've decided to pay him. Milan, I'm sure, knows that number. Is probably okay with that number, but he does want to see if he can make the NBA this year. Completely understandable. Unfortunately, that number is quite high percentage of Iowa State's total revenue that they're going to pay out for a basketball team. So they cannot wait 4 weeks, 6 weeks for Milan to make the decision. And let's just say Milan's getting paid $3 million from Iowa State. I don't know if that's right or not, but I'm going to use that number. So Iowa State is setting aside $3 million for Milan. And then in 6 weeks, he decides, hey, I'm going to get drafted number 25, and I'm going to stay in the draft. So now you're sitting there with $3 million, but no one to give it to. And your team isn't as good because you thought you had one of the best players in the country for $3 million. If Milan isn't coming back, you use that $3 million to go get another best player. You go get as good a player as you can for $3 million. So Iowa State cannot be the best team waiting for Milan for a month. So Iowa State has to give him a deadline. Milan has to give them an answer. So I do believe very, very soon you're going to see Milan's name in the transfer portal. That does not mean he's coming back to Iowa State, but that is just the reality of the situation that we're in. Iowa State can't wait. And Milan has earned the right to wait, because if he doesn't get $3 million from Iowa State, if he does decide to come back and Iowa State's already moved on, he will get $3 million from somebody else. Because many, many teams have more money. And they will be able to, hey, we can get one of the best returning players in the country for $3 million, and they will call up somebody or whatever, however they get their money, and they will say, we can get him with this number. And then somebody will write a check, or they'll okay it, whatever, however they do it, and Milan will play for that team. So it does very much, I do think that he will be playing somewhere else next year. I hope it's in the NBA. I hope it's not for somebody else, because it's that same situation. Now, I do think Milan's a little bit different situation, because he will play professional basketball for a long time, and he will make a good amount of money in his life in basketball. You cannot teach a 6'8", 6'9", and that type of shooter. He will make a career in the NBA or in some other league in Europe or whatever, and he will make a heck of a basketball career. So his earning potential is basketball for the next 10 years. I truly believe, unless an injury happens. And then after that, he's going to figure something else out. And if it happens to be longer than 10 years, great. But unfortunately, that is the situation we were in, and then kind of getting back and closing out on my rant. Just because as fans we're frustrated and we think everybody's getting too much money, that doesn't mean we can't stop. We have to keep going. We have to keep supporting. We have to keep giving what you're able to or what you're wanting to, even if it is $50, even if it is $20, even if it is just buying Ames Lager or a T-shirt with their name on it, whatever. Support still matters. And we had 10 great years of Matt Campbell doing the best he can with it. Jimmy Rogers is going to do the best he can with what he has. TJ Otzelberger has proven that he can have a team that's so close. One of these years are going to get over the hump and get to that Elite Eight / Final Four / National Championship game. We're close. We were really close before. We'll be close again. You have to still support. You can't get mad. You can't stop. And you have that prerogative. If you really feel that way, then you stop. And that's okay. But if you still love your team and you are still a fan of your team, you've got to support them. They need it actually more now than ever, especially places like Iowa State. Other places don't need it as much because they have other sources and bigger alumni base, whatever. But Iowa State is unique in that situation where we are a crowdsourced type of school, a crowdsourced type of family base. Our strength is our numbers. And Iowa State will do fine. We'll be there for basketball. We'll be there for football. And that's just who we are as fans and who Cyclones are. So there's my rant for this week. NCAA recap. I'm not going to talk so much about the game. Michigan, they're good. Obviously they proved that with the national championship, and we talked about it last week. They're really, really good. I saw them in person against Alabama. They're big, they're strong, they're athletic, and they proved it in the Final Four and in the championship game, and especially in that semifinal against Arizona. They made Arizona look stupid, and no one had done that all year. I was wrong. I thought Arizona was the best team. I was flat wrong. It was Michigan, and it really wasn't even that close. Connecticut had a heck of a plan. They executed it to the best of their ability, and it still wasn't enough. But, as Dan Hurley said, he had his team a chance. That's all you can ask for. You're within a possession or two with 2 minutes left, a minute left. I think they were actually down 4 with a 3 up in the air, and if that hits, they're down 1 with less than a minute to go, which is all you can ask for. So Dan Hurley, he's insane. He's crazy, but he knows how to coach, and he knows how to coach in big games, and he knows how to win. And 3 championship games in 4 years, 2 titles, a runner-up. That's very, very hard to do at these times. Michigan was the first team ever to have 5 transfers. None of those players started at Michigan to win the national title. That is the first of many, many, many more to come. That's just today's society and today's NCAA situation. Transfer is just the way to go. Last but definitely not least, the Masters is this weekend. And cheer everybody up here now. It is golf. Weather's not great here in Iowa. It's rainy. It's cold one day. It's warm the next. Everybody's got a cold. Everybody's got the sniffles. Everybody's got a sore throat right now because one day you're wearing shorts and a T-shirt. The next day you need a winter coat, hat, and gloves. You can hear it in my voice again. And some of that is I coach golf. My son's running track, so I'm outside. I'm inside. I'm outside. I'm inside. So when you do that, that's just the tendency of getting sick. But in Augusta, Georgia, it is full-on spring, approaching summer. The weather looks gorgeous this weekend. I watched some of it today, the par 3 contest and everything. It looks beautiful. What they spend and what they do to make that course look absolutely perfect for this week of the year. Everything they do in their entire calendar points to this week. The amount of resources and dedication it takes to plant the flowers, to the trees, the pine straw, the grass, everything they do. It is an engine going down the train to perfection. Now, there's a lot of people that think it's corny, it's weird, it's the Masters, they do everything for this, they've got their certain rules. It's not fans, it's patrons, it's not the rough, it's the second cut, it's the first cut. It's lots of weird things that the Masters does that most places don't. And you ask any fan of golf, where do they want to go? They want to go to Augusta. I think that is some of it because of the exclusivity of it. You can't just buy a ticket and go there. You can, but it costs thousands and thousands of dollars. You have to get drawn, or you have to know someone to get there for the most part, or get lucky. I've known a few people that have gotten that gotten drawn, or got taken by a friend there. Our friend Vince Hartgrave was there to watch Tiger win in 2019. Friend took him. That's absolutely awesome. Jealous, but just so happy for Vince being able to do that at that time. Nothing's better. But I love that part of it. I know some people think it's all weird and stuff, but the pageantry. But I'm kind of that person. Yes, in another football sense, does the Rose Bowl just make it so much more difficult to get this playoff going forward and everything? But yes, it does. But the Rose Parade and kicking off at 4:00 and the sunset tradition and pageantry are awesome. I love that stuff. I know I'm weird, but that's just me. And then the greatest part about it is you go down there and you see the food's $1.50 instead of, when I was at the United Center watching Iowa State and Tennessee, $15 for a beer, $18 for a chicken tender meal. I mean, it's just crazy. And it's just a beer. They don't need to sell you a 24-ounce beer, sell you a 12-ounce beer for half the price and then make you go back twice as much. It's just, I don't understand some of that stuff. And then you see the stats, the merchandise tent, how much they make. And they have no commercials because they only have 3 or 4 sponsors, and the Masters doesn't care. They don't need any more. They buy up all the land around it so they can keep adding. The course is 7,500 yards. They built a new players lounge area. They built a new practice facility. They built a new media center. They control everything in this environment, and it is a thing of beauty, in my opinion. Does it go maybe a little bit over the top? Probably, but when you have that control and when you have that power and everybody wants it and you've made it so exclusive, that is one of the biggest drivers of supply and demand. There's not very much supply, so the demand is really, really high. And they've perfected that. And it's gorgeous to watch. Tomorrow morning, we'll have it on in the gym for class. We're doing hockey stuff right now in PE class. But the Masters will be on in the corner. So anybody wants to watch it a little bit, they stop in and watch a few minutes. And it's just, there's nothing like it. They call it a tradition unlike any other, and it is. This week is great. You're in different pools. The Masters app has a new fantasy thing that I started this year with some friends, trying it out, kind of like the Eliminator thing. I think it's relatively new. Pick different golfers. We had our draft tonight. I'm actually doing this a little bit later than normal and not live because it's so late. But everything's just fun about it. I'm not going to be able to this weekend just because of things going on, but sometimes it's pretty fun to get up early in the morning, go play golf, and then you go back and watch golf the rest of the day. That's what this weekend is: watching golf, talking golf, and having fun. And hope everybody does enjoy it. Tune in a little bit. Jim Nance on the call. It doesn't get better than that for calling golf. I don't know if anybody watched today, but Jason Kelsey was walking around in the caddy uniform. The par 3 contest, he had all kinds of hole-in-ones. And I think one thing that makes this tournament just so much more special, and everybody thinks they're just so much more in tune with it, is it's the same golf course every year. When they say number 12, you know what number 12 is. You know what the ball's going to do. You know the shots that have been hit in the past. Hole 16, hole 18, when they have this putt to tie to get force of playoff or to win, you know where that putt's going to go. You know, did Tiger hit that putt? Did Phil hit that putt to win it? Did Adam Scott make his fourth birdie in a row on 18 from right there? This you can go back to times. Was that one of Greg Norman's shots that didn't go in? Was that Sandy Lyle's chip in? Was that Jack Nicklaus's putt? Was that Tom Watson's putt? Ben Hogan? It's just obviously it's changed a little, but the basis of that course has not changed. And that's the beauty of it. Is they used to hide the front nine like it was never on TV, and obviously now it is. I do believe it's on some streaming as well this year, and Jack Nicklaus, I think, is in the booth or somewhat calling the game, I think, on Prime or Netflix. One of those, I can't remember which one. I think I heard. I'm going to try to tune some of that in tomorrow as well. But enjoy it. Only comes once a year. And then the other thing is, it is always my daughter's birthday. My daughter turns 18 on Saturday. Amazing accomplishment for her, and shows how old I'm getting. Never thought, you think when they're little and they're growing up, they're not. It's lots of time. We don't. Enjoy it. Spend time. Just enjoy each event they are in. Yes, it's time consuming. Yes, it's a lot, but it does end someday. So enjoy it now. We'll be back next week. Right at about 30 minutes here. That's all you want to hear from my ramblings. So thanks again for listening. We do really appreciate it from everybody. Somebody in Vietnam starting to listen. I don't know what's going on there, but thank you. Hopefully you enjoy this, and everybody else who does as well. Please share this with someone that you think would enjoy it. We really do have fun putting this on. It's just something Trev and I like to do, and it's really, really fun, and hopefully you get some enjoyment out of it as well. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.